Good evening and welcome to the November 5th board meeting of the Topeka Development Corporation Board of Directors. I'll call this meeting to order. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
President Padilla.
Here.
Vice President Dobler.
Here.
Directors Hiller.
Here.
Ortiz. Valdivia Acala. Here. Banks.
Here.
Kell. Miller.
Here.
Duncan. And Hofer. Here. All right, we have 7 present.
Okay. 7 present. We'll move on to item number 4 on the agenda. Madam Clerk.
For approval of the August 12, 2025 meeting minutes.
Okay. I hope everyone has had an opportunity to look at the minutes from August 12th meeting. Motion to approve by Councilman Banks, second by Councilman Miller. Take the roll call, please.
All right. President Padilla.
Here. Aye, yes.
Vice President Dobler.
Yes.
Directors Hiller.
Yes.
Valdivia Acala.
Yes.
Banks.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
And Hofer.
Yes.
All right, we have 7 yes, the motion carries.
Move on to item 5 on the agenda, Madam Clerk.
5 is adoption of the 2026 operating budget for Hotel Topeka.
Okay. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. President. Braxton Copley, Deputy City Manager, will run us through this item, presenting the 2026 operating budget for Hotel Topeka.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
City Manager.
So just as a brief bit of history, last year about this time, we were presented a budget in the amount of with an $870,000 loss for the 2025 Hotel Topeka budget. Subsequent to that, the hotel did 2 revisions to its forecast because they track expenses and revenue on a daily basis. And the last revised forecasted budget I provided to you all as part of my weekly Hotel Topeka report was in the net operating loss of about $1.4 million. And we're tracking right at that level right now. The financials that we have for the end of September that I presented in my last weekly report to you show that we are at about a $1.05 million loss from January 1st through the end of September. So we are right on track for a $1.35 to $1.4 million loss. The comparative budget that is part of this packet that was presented to you basically shows a forecast for 2025 right in that $1.35 million to $1.4 million loss. So the proposed budget for 2026 is a $1.75 million loss. Now, just this afternoon, I forwarded to you a spreadsheet that basically has the high-level summary of the reasoning behind the $400,000 increase in the projected loss between 25 and 26. And really what it comes down to is a loss of food and beverage revenue and a loss of hotel room revenue because groups that had historically booked at Hotel Topeka have chosen for 2026 and future years to not continue to stay there. The 2 biggest ones that I can tell you just off the top of my head, one was the billiards tournament that has been there for many, many years, who decided because of HVAC issues in Manor that they are not going to come back. And then the other one is a very large conference that I personally attend, and it's for water treatment plant and water plant operators, that they have made the decision that based on the condition of Manor and to a lesser extent the condition of Hotel Topeka, they are not coming back until a refresh is made. They will continue to go back and forth between Wichita and Overland Park, but they will not be staying at Hotel Topeka. So those are just examples that, given the condition of Mena and the condition of the hotel, we are losing group revenue, and that is really the difference between what's being presented as the 2026 proposed budget versus where we're going to end up, our best guess on the 2025 budget. That I would gladly stand for any questions and would respectfully make a motion to approve the presented budget. We are required, GF is required to provide us that budget by November 1st. We have 30 days to review and approve so that they can go ahead and get it into their system so that they know what the budget's going to be for 2026.
Mr. President, also, for full transparency, I do also want to highlight that we did not include an operating loss in our FY 2026 adopted budget, assuming that the hotel was going to be sold this year. So I just want to make note of that as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Questions for the city manager or the deputy city manager? Seeing none, you made a motion.
I'm sorry, I would respectfully ask that a TDC board member would make a motion to
Okay.
approve the proposed 2026 operating budget for Hotel Topeka.
Councilwoman Hilder.
So moved.
So moved, okay. I will second your motion.
Okay.
Okay. Councilwoman,
If I can make one comment, just to clarify or reiterate, we are voting on this budget. The context is we are not expecting to have that budget be for us, but instead a good faith disclosure of what we think it's going to look like for a seller.
Correct, and contractually, we're obligated to approve the proposed budget that they need to present to us for continued operation. And obviously, the next agenda item is going to be Mr. Arnold from the Endeavor Group to talk about his vision for and a recap of where we are currently on our negotiations with Endeavor.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Valdivia.
Thank you. So this 2026 budget, 100% is for Endeavor, and the city will not have to have anything to do with this budget. That's fact. Is that what you're saying? It's fact?
No, ma'am. Until we actually sell the hotel is our asset, and that we have to continue to operate it unless the governing body decides that they want to shutter it.
Got it. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, further questions? Okay, seeing none, motion and a second, we'll take a roll call, please.
President Padilla,
Yes.
Vice President Dobler,
Yes.
Directors Hiller,
Yes.
Valdivia Akala,
No.
Banks,
No.
Miller,
Yes.
Dobler. Oh, sorry. Duncan,
Yes.
Duncan, and Hofer.
Yes.
All right, we have 6 yes with Directors Valdivia Akala and Banks voting no. The motion carries.
Thank you. Move on to agenda item 6. Madam Clerk.
6 is discussion on the proposed sale of Hotel Topeka.
City Manager.
Thank you. Deputy City Manager Copley and Roy Arnold, President and CEO of Endeavor Hotel Group, will lead us through this item. We'll provide an update, as Deputy City Manager said, on the negotiations as well as Mr. Arnold's vision for the hotel and Maynard Conference Center.
So, Mr. Arnold, would you step forward, please?
Great. Thank
So
you.
as he's getting ready to queue up his presentation, I will tell you that the negotiations continue. We are getting down to very few items. I would say they're very productive discussions between our council and Endeavor's council.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Arnold?
Mayor, council members, staff, Thanks for the opportunity to provide this update tonight. I have a few slides put together because there was some interest in terms of sort of what our vision was for the hotel, and I can also address where we are relative to the flow of the deal and the transaction, which I think is all positive, and I will cover that. But if I could, because I know there's a lot of interest here, if you could, how do I make this appear up there? Yeah, so everybody can see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So I just wanted to first sort of review sort of what we've been thinking about and some of the initial work we've done. The slide that you're seeing here is sort of what the current state of the hotel is relative to the guest rooms, which, again, we believe dated furniture is kind of cold. The walls are very austere, uncoordinated soft goods. This is kind of what we're aiming for. This is probably what we're going to do. It's going to be close to this. There's some specifics we're still working through, but you'll see that it's a lot more natural finishes, warmer colors, more streamlined and updated furniture, and a very modern bath. We would expect to convert all of the king room bathrooms to walk-in showers. There's a couple things we have to confirm are possible, but that's sort of the intent. I think it's a great look. I think it's an upscale look, and it's kind of that's kind of our aim point right now. Haven't made a determination. I think this slide shows more of a natural wood floor with then area rugs underneath the beds. We may go with complete carpet or not. That's still a decision to be made. But again, this is just to give you sort of a representation. It's not the final design, but you can kind of see where we're going. Same thing with the public spaces. Those finishes in the guest rooms will be carried over into the hallways and into the public spaces. Again, a lot of more natural wood look instead of just wallpaper, and trying to keep that same feel throughout the entire hotel. Again, current public space as is, which I think most of you are familiar with. It's actually a very nice space. Could use a little refresh, but it's actually has a very nice feel to it, upscale feel to it. Just, again, needs a refresh. This is not what's intended here, although we'll use some of the same finishes, but I just wanted to sort of provide you an example of what we've actually done with a project that's in progress. The Columbian atrium before picture, you can kind of see the carpet, little in your face and a little dated, but also showing some wear. To the left, to the right is the Columbia Atrium design concept. That's a rendering of what we were going to do. That's what the plan was from the designers. And then the bottom picture shows you the project actually in place. And you can sort of see that transformation of moving to brighter paint colors that bring a lot more energy into the space. And then, of course, the carpet, much more modern, much more contemporary. And where you see the black draping is where that wall is going to go. We've added one change to that, which is now in the center of that wall that you see in the rendering. We'll still have video monitors, but they're going to move out to the sides, and in the center there is going to be a water feature that is a cascading mesh with the branding of the hotel and etched glass behind the falling water. So we think it's going to look great. So that's kind of the direction from a design perspective we're going. And then the same thing for the manor, or the Manor Center, the existing as is, and then another concept idea of what is possible. And again, not final, obviously. We're working with the county relative to the scope of this renovation, but that's kind of what we're looking to do, is have a feeling that ties it into the Stormont Vale Center in terms of the curb appeal and presentation to the public of the space, but also bringing a lot more light. As you know, there are no real windows in a lot of the rooms. So we want to add those in, and then we want to take up the elevation of the central corridor and have natural light coming in along that corridor. So that's kind of where we are relative to the sort of developmental design component of this. In terms of next steps, I believe we are very close to being able to sign. I had hoped we might be able to sign it this week. I think the respective councils have some administrative items that they have to deal with, but I think there was really only one or two, and I won't even call them substantive. They needed to be discussed and clarified, and that is going on now, I believe. And so I would hope by the end of the week, we'd be in a position to have the councils go smooth, get this signed and get into escrow. We are in a similar place with the county. We have provided them with a very detailed management agreement, long-term management agreement for the conference center. They have indicated that they want to simplify that document, which we're all about. That's fine. Simple is better. But I'm waiting to get that back. We've also had some brief discussions concerning the compensation elements of the deal, and although we're not completely there, we're close to the point where I don't think it's an impediment to getting a deal done. We had a great meeting with both city staff and county staff several weeks ago, which I thought was, for me, it was a very important meeting. It was very productive because it gave me more insights into the respective process for both the IRB and what the county intends to do with the bonding issue, and understanding how those two things are separate but connected in the sense of the county taking, I believe, the lead for those. I think that's a decided action that, in fact, the county will sponsor both or do the necessary governmental legal work relative to the IRB being offered, and then they are pursuing a separate larger bond initiative of which the Maynard is going to be part of. That's my understanding. And the items that I'm looking to clarify, again, I think we're at a point with the city where the hotel side of this deal is on track to proceed to escrow or to go under contract and start our formal due diligence process. With the county, I just need to get that simplified management agreement back from them, review it, and from that, then be able to have the conversation concerning the rent or lease structure, which again, I don't think there'll be a problem with. And from then on, it's a matter of working with bond counsel to determine what the timeline is going to be relative to bringing that to market, and then determining when our fund's going to be available for us to commence the Maynard renovation, as well as to have more formal discussions with a lending source for the bond, for the IRB, to determine the structure that they're looking for relative to that deal from a financial security perspective from the lender. And that's, I think that really puts us on track. As we enter into the due diligence process, things will move, I think, relatively quickly. My only unknown at this point, again, is getting with the county relative to their bonding process and understanding what that timeline looks like. Once we have that, it's going to be a lot easier to determine when a possible closing will occur. But we're committed to moving forward and making that close. We appreciate the work of staff relative to their projections for 2026. Obviously, when we close, we would expect to rapidly rebrand the hotel to a national brand, and we think that will be helpful in potentially reducing those losses. And we have some other things that we think we can pursue in the interim. But we really, really want to rapidly get the renovation underway, because I've heard from others similar comments concerning the desirability of the hotel as an accommodation. but they're things that we can address. We don't need to have the whole renovation done to, I think, address those enough that we can start building back some of that transient business. And again, I think we can rapidly get the hotel group spaces where they need to be to have a shot at some group activity in 2026. But as I've said before, I think it's a 2 to 3 year process to get back to a stable or a stabilized rate of business for the hotel, simply because organizations usually book 2 or 3 years in advance. And so they may even want to come back, but they're contractually committed to go to Overland Park or to go to Wichita. But I think we'll be able to show them with our renderings and what our plans are, that when they are free to reengage, and I believe my conversations with the CVB have indicated that they have a number of clients which are ready to come back, not only for the Manor Center when that's done, but also are now looking more closely at the Stormont Center for some events, which of course the hotel will benefit from if we have more events coming back to Wichita for the Stormont Vale Center as well, or Event Center. So subject to any questions, I'm happy to take any questions you may have, but that's sort of where we stand. I think we're ready to start moving a little more rapidly now that we have some of the procedural work done. But I will say it's a worthwhile investment in time. I think both for city staff and for us, it's important to have a contract which is clear and that we can all feel good about going forward, that addresses those things which are of importance to the city, as well as the importance that we have on certain items relative to our ability to operate and realize the vision that we have for the property.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. Any questions from the board members? Councilman Miller.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming and presenting. And when you spoke about some of those renderings that you have on the slides, and you said it'll be close. I mean, how close are we talking?
So I say close because we're looking at two different designs. The design that I showed there is an approved Wyndham upscale design, and I have gone out to our vendors already, asking them to give us their ability, pricing as well as lead time for that particular design. It's a design that if we do proceed forward with it, we will use in more than just the Hotel Topeka. I have another project in Little Rock of 201 room conference hotel, which we're also redoing the guest rooms completely. That one is in progress now, and so I'm waiting to get that back. There's an alternative design which is very close, but has a much different headboard design. This one is pretty unique, the one that I showed, and we really like it. There's a lot of goodness in that particular approach, where you're not hanging something on a wall, but where you have some architectural elements and basically a piece of furniture that you're putting into place. So, but that's when I say close. I definitely, and it's one of the things, believe me, I'm staying at the hotel tonight. I've got my tape measure with me, because I'm going to be roaming the halls, because there's a couple things I need, like when you looked at the guest corridor. I need to figure out what the depth of that inset is and whether it's possible for us to go in with natural wood to that as opposed to a wallpaper treatment. So it's that kind of thing that I say that's our intent, that's our design intent, is to have an aesthetic that's very close to that. The other thing that I need to look at is in the lobby area to really get an appreciation for the amount of millwork, that if we're going to make a finished change like that, what's the level of difficulty, what's the expense of redoing that millwork? And my initial impression from checking in today is it's probably not a major factor, because it's mostly partial column wrapping that isn't that extensive, so that should not be hard to switch over to a different species of wood and a different finish, so that, again, the hotel has a consistent, cohesive look to it. But I hope that answers your question.
It does.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Hiller.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to clarify, backing up to the big picture, when this deal is done, we've all known or discussed since the very beginning how important Manor Conference Center and the county's involvement was in this, so it's really good to hear that that's moving along. But assuming we've got three pieces here, we got the hotel, we have the Stormont Vale Event Center, and we have Manor Conference Center. At the end of, like, let's say this happens as quickly as we hope, in January, the county will still own the Expo Center, the county will still own Manor,
Yes,
and then you will own
The
the
hotel.
hotel.
Yes.
And you will have a management agreement with Manor.
correct. We will have a management agreement with the county, long-term management agreement with the county. I believe we also have, I believe I'm safe in saying that I believe the commissioners are also in agreement that we should have the lead on the renovation of the conference center to allow us to get scales of economy by bidding both projects at the same time and bringing in contractors under one supervisor. And so our intention, if possible, will be to have both those projects proceeding forward at the same time. The Manor will take a little longer because while I know exactly what I want to do in the hotel, the Manor Center is going to involve both architectural, structural, and some life safety system planning and approvals that the city will need to be involved in because the life safety systems are not what they need to be in Manor. There is no sprinkler system, so we're going to need to have that designed and then approved by the city, I assume the fire department and the other planning departments, and then we'll obviously have to have it installed. And that all has to take place before we start getting into finishes and other things. It's a lot of work to do in the conference center.
Thank you. You jumped ahead to my second question then. So you may actually manage the renovation for the county.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that exactly where it's going, or is that still being negotiated?
No, I think, again, I'm waiting to get the agreement back, but that's how I wrote the agreement. And in
Okay.
my conversations with both county council as well as with the commissioners, I think there's agreement that that makes sense. And so I expect that's what it will be.
Thank you. Thank you.
Further questions or discussion? Thank you, Mr. Arnold, I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I know many of you just went through an election, and I know, sir, you're moving on to another
Life.
aspect in your life, as we all do, and having retired from the Marine Corps after 30 years, I know that that's both, you're looking forward to it, but then you're not looking forward to it. But I want to thank you for your leadership during our brief interactions. It's been much appreciated. And again, I have enjoyed working with the council and will continue to do so, and staff has been very helpful.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. So there's, on the next item, there's no executive session?
Correct.
Okay.
And no one signed up to speak.
So the next is any other business coming before TDC? Councilwoman Heather?
Just ask what we should expect in terms of time frame and things coming around.
On the hotel?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'll defer to Deputy City Manager.
So, again, we have a few items to negotiate through. The way the contract is set up is that there is approximately a 180-day period of time, 90-day period of time in terms of doing due diligence, and then 90 days to close. Given the fact that there is a county IRB that would be both for a point of purchase retail sales tax exemption as well as the private activity bonds to help with the financing, I would say a 6-month timeline is probably realistic once we get to a finalized agreement.
Okay, help me reconcile the 6-month timeline with us not being responsible for the hotel in January.
We are responsible for the hotel until the hotel is sold.
Understood. But we just passed a budget that's not included in the city's budget.
That is correct.
For clarity, Braxton, and from listening to Mr. Arnold, the expectation is that the sale will still yet take place in January?
No, sir. That was not stated by anyone. We have just a few items to work through to be able to get that contract negotiated. Then the contract contemplates a due diligence period, and then the contract contemplates a period of time in which the closing has to happen. Those are outside dates. Certainly, if everything clicks and lines up, we can move that up in conversations with Roy. He has indicated an interest in getting this closed as quickly as possible, but we do still have details that have to be worked out with the county, and then we necessarily have a process that requires the county to approve the IRB, both in terms of the retail sales tax exemption, as well as the issuance of the bonds that have to be marketed, sold, to be able to get that closed. So there's no expectation that we will get this closed in January. The point that the city manager made was the city has not set aside in its operating budget any expenses for Hotel Topeka, which means that we will be challenged to find money to cover operating expenses for that hotel.
Mayor?
Councilman Duggan?
It sounds to me like maybe by the end of this week or Monday or Tuesday, we'll know more because maybe we have the agreement executed. Could staff just put together for us a time, once that's done, some kind of estimated timeline? We won't hold you to it exactly, but I think that would be helpful in writing to get us all on the same
Once we
page.
get an executed agreement, I will be sharing the agreement with you.
Yeah,
because
no.
we cannot execute that agreement until the TDC approves that agreement.
Sure.
Right? So you will have all those terms prior to your approval before it's executed. But then, again, as I've told you, the agreement and any agreement for the purchase and sale of a large commercial property has a timeline that includes due diligence period, as well as then a period of time in which the closing needs to take effect.
Right.
Further questions? Councilman Miller?
Not much more of a question, but I think I understand your concern, but I'm just trusting that, and maybe that's a bad thing, I don't know, but I am going to trust that the staff and they have done their due diligence to the point that they can, and that we're going to be able to sell this hotel to them in writing and have it off of our books that we don't have on our books. But you know what I'm trying to say, like, we got to have good faith in this, and I understand the thought not to, but I believe we're going to get there. I trust it.
Well, it's something we've been working on for a couple of years. It doesn't happen overnight, but I appreciate the continued effort, even though it seems like sometimes you take a step forward and a couple of steps backwards. But I think really we're now taking several steps forward and not looking backwards. So I'm high on expectations, and I'm sure that Mr. Arnold's intent is very clear to move forward with this effort and do everything he can with the city and the county. So I appreciate all that has been done and said in that effort. So, nothing else? No executive session? No further business comes before this TDC body? The meeting is adjourned.